Hello and welcome to the Don't Break the Oath podcast, where we cover everything from the paranormal to the very normal, including all your paranormal favorites: Bigfoot, unidentified flying objects, ghosts, conspiracies, and much more.
Hello and welcome to the Don't Break the Oath podcast. Today's show is The Power of Hair.
Cool. I just want to say it may contain explicit content.
Yeah, as always. Before we get into that though, just a bit of housekeeping. I want to say a really big thank you to the Wattcast and the guys at the Wattcast there for all their help. It's well appreciated. And
Thank you.
If you haven't heard of the Wattcast, go and check it out. It's a fantastic podcast.
They are good. I will give them that. They know what they're doing.
And it's really funny as well, so that's good.
As funny as that.
But just before I start this Power of Hair, there was people have been submitting stories, but I'm trying to compile them into a show that's relevant to the story we're doing. So whether it be a UFO story or whether it be a ghost story, whatever it is. But this story is quite good, so I just thought I'd just quickly do this story. I know it's not part of the Power of Hair, but I'll just do it. And this comes from a lady called Sally Thompson, who lives in Manchester in England. And it all started when she moved into their family moved into a house, which had been owned by an elderly gentleman. Anyway, she moved into the house, and their bedroom was at the back of the house. Every night she'd be woken up and she'd see a man standing by the window, looking out the window.
Oh, pear cider.
So she'd run to her mum and dad's bedroom. You know, she was about 6-7-year-old at the time, so she runs to her mum and dad's bedroom screaming that there's a man in the room. So obviously they come in, there's nobody there. And this went on night after night after night. Eventually, she got so anaesthetised by it all that she, instead of just panicking straight away when she saw this guy, she started noticing things that he was doing. And he was looking towards her, and he was looking back at the window, and he was pointing out. So in the morning, when she woke up, she looked to see what he was pointing at, and he was actually pointing at his shed. There was a shed in the garden that had been there from the previous owners. So she started putting two and two together, and she started to, see there was something relevant to that shed, So she told her dad about it, and obviously I don't think he believed her, that there was it was actually going on. But he humoured her, and so they went to the shed, and they was looking around the shed, and it was just like most had been cleaned out when the family had obviously stuck the stuff out after this old guy died. There was not much in the shed, to be fair. But Dad took her around the shed and said, "Look, it's just a shed. There's nothing here." Blah blah blah. So anyway, the next night she saw the guy. This time he was at the foot of the bed.
Mm.
Yeah, and he was pointing. He was pointing towards the shed. Obviously, he was at the foot of the bed. And she just put the pillow over her head, or put the sheets over her head, and she went to sleep. Tried to get to sleep. And this happened for a few nights on a trot. And progressively, he'd get closer and closer and closer and closer to her, just like a footstep at a time. And after a couple of weeks or so, we were right alongside her, and she woke up, and he was right over her, and she could actually feel his breath, he was that close to her. And he says to her, in a whisper, he said,
"What's he say? Fucking hell."
He said, "Go to the shed." And she'd already done, so anyway, so she said, she actually spoke back to him, she said, "I've been to the shed, there's nothing there." Anyway, he said, underfoot, that's what he said to her, underfoot. Anyway, so she told her dad, and Dad, it was a busy day, it was a work day, so Dad didn't have anything, couldn't do anything on that particular day. And so, maybe this was a Wednesday, so this happened for a few nights where he'd say, come to her and just whisper in her ear. Sometimes she wouldn't see him, sometimes she just heard the voice, but it'd say underfoot. After so long, she told her dad, and his dad said, "Look, alright, we'll have one more look in the shed." So they go to the shed, and she said, "He keeps saying underfoot. What's that mean?" The dad's saying, "Well, it could mean there's something under our feet, or whatever." Most of the shed floor was like a concrete base, but just under one of the counters there was like a wooden, some slats there, some floorboards, and so just being inquisitive, the dad thought, "Well, maybe this is what it means." So anyway, lifted these floorboards up. Under these floorboards, they found a tin, Anyway, Drew took this tin out, took it back into the house, and when they opened it, inside this tin there was war medals. And so then they realised that that's what it was all about. So I guess the dad at this point must have believed her. And they got in touch with the family that had sold them the house. And that was the one thing they couldn't find. When they cleaned the dad's house out, after he died, they just couldn't find his war medals. And they was really upset about it. And anyway, obviously these reunited him with it. These were his war medals, this guy. And ever since that night, she'd never seen that guy again.
So what's that got to do with power of the hair?
No, it's nothing with the power of hair, but it's just
that's what he's on about, though. Yeah, about power of hair.
A really cool story that I just thought I'd read. So I'm trying to compile them into like a ghost show and this show and that show, but that was really cool. So I just wanted to say thank you to Sally for that, and I just thought I'd read it out now because it was just interesting. But yeah, power of hair. So every now and again on TV. On
last couple of days.
In general media terms and stuff, you get every now and again you get a narrative that's just portrayed in every paper you read and every social media that, like this gender thing at the moment. Like even in England.
Yeah. There's a few celebrities in at it. Like what's his face? Will Smith's lad Jaden. He's going on wearing skates.
What?
Why can't men wear skates? Well, Scottish do. They wear kilts. Well, that's not really a skate, is it?
No, well, but.
I've worn a kilt, mate, in a very, very refreshing
to
wear. Oh, mate, no. Well, on the sister-in-law's wedding, and I tell you what, if I could wear one every Sunday, I fucking would.
We can.
I can, I'm going to. I tell you, it's just
this
sense of freedom.
This transgender thing with this toilet and stuff, and even in England, we're getting bombarded with it every day. This happened in America, but we're getting bombarded with it every day. And you got every now and again, you got to ask yourself why. And and all this, people can choose their gender and all the rest of it. Well, actually, you can't.
No, you can't.
Genetically speaking, you are what you are. You've got a Y chromosome, blah blah blah. So,
it's like my older sister. I'm not going to say her name. I hope my mum and that don't listen to this, but she said to my mum when she was a young kid, "Why am I a girl? I should have been a boy." And now she's a butch lesbian.
But that happens, doesn't it? I mean,
this is when she didn't even know what she was herself. You know what I mean? She turned around to my mum and said, "You changed me at birth."
Yeah.
How the hell did she change her at birth? I should have been a boy, but now I'm a girl.
And that's all comes back to hormones and stuff. You know what I mean? So, but actually, genetically speaking, she's still female, isn't she?
Yes, she's female.
And like these people, all right, they want to live their lives as they're a guy or whatever, and want to live their lives as a woman. No problem, go and do it. But when it comes to using toilets and all the rest of it, just use your fucking own toilet. What's wrong with
what's the excuse?
Or fucking go for a piss at your own house. It's not fucking.
What's the excuse for Thailand then?
Well, yeah,
they're all changing themselves into women.
Yeah, why? Money, that, isn't it?
Yeah, but like I say, because they can't afford a living, so they have to change their complete set so they can make money.
Yeah, so Westerners come over there and bang them.
I'm glad they never off to fucking Thailand. Tell you, lovely country. I bet they've got some nice fucking things in that.
Yeah, but like I say, so you see this portrayed in the media, and you ask the question why, and there's a lot of things when you look at things,
Adam's apple, please.
Like like blue for boys, pink for girls. It's just ingrained, isn't it? It's just what you do.
Yeah, but a lot of men these day and age like pink.
Yeah,
I don't like pink.
I think this is I don't. But
I like purple though.
This is the well, if you want purple's alright, but you start getting to mauve and that, it starts to get a bit funny. But this is like it's just a cultural. It's just a cultural norm, and it's a similar thing with the hair. In the medieval times, long hair was a sign of wealth and well-being, and stuff like that. If you could keep out long hair, because obviously there was a lot of lice and stuff on that sort of day. So it even drove people to start wearing wigs, outlandish wigs.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
Yeah, so it's this, and the bigger the wig,
the gentleman got to wear a wig.
The bigger the wig, the bigger the
the bigger the amount of money they had in the bank account.
And then they said something else there, but
no, they did. It's like the bigger the hands, the bigger the gloves.
Yeah,
the bigger the gloves.
The bigger the hair, the more And so somewhere we've lost that. We've started that we've been put into this culture where we think men should have short hair, women should have long hair. And that's it.
These days, it's how it differentiates on how women should look and how men should look. But you look what you fucking want to look. Yeah. But at the minute, I had a beard. It's gone because I tried trimming it this morning and it's fucking fucked it up. And that my trimmer's fucked.
So they got a lot of people now with
shave it off now. With like
beards. It's starting to become a fashion now. This beard thing and that. So obviously,
long hair. Vikings. That's what it is.
Yeah, Vikings, they had long hair. Well, if you go back far enough, you go back to, Vikings, the Germanic tribes, Celts, they all had long hair, right? All these ancient warriors and that, they all had long hair. So there's some significance to long hair, yeah? And that's what I was doing.
Indians didn't have facial hair, but they had long hair.
Yeah, long hair.
They all did. It was never short. It's like same again with the samurai in Japan. They had long hair, but it was always tied up in the top knot.
Yeah.
So it like.
And you can look up the spiritual nature of hair by the author
Deva Kahesa. I think it's an Indian name.
Yeah, probably. So anyway, if you look at this book, they go on to talk about how long ago many cultures didn't cut their hair because it was part of who they were. There were obviously there's no hairdressers and all the rest of it. But even conquered slaves their heads would be shaven, as a sign of slavery. So there's also something that was understood as severe punishment and decreased the power of those enslaved. So they were shaving their hair to knock some power out of them.
Yeah, but if you go now, if you associate skinheads now, you think of fucking white power in prison and stuff like that. Mike saying, I'm a skinhead. Yeah. You fuck me, you're done, aren't you?
But when you think of a skinhead, you think of a brute. You think of
someone who's
not intelligent.
Who fights all the time,
yeah. And that's what I'm talking about in this. That's the opposite to what would happen if you had long hair. If you had long hair, you wouldn't be unintelligent. You wouldn't be a brute. You'd be more intuitive to your surroundings, nature, and all the rest of it. And that's the power of hair. So we get this. So we get the other thing about long hair as well is that they're not sure whether the hair acts as some sort of antenna to the outside, like an external nervous system, if you like. Now, there's a lot of animals, ants. I mean, there's one study on ants that they reckon they comb the antennas to keep them clean.
Yeah, they do the clean. You see them clean them with the foot. Like, it's like
flies. They've got hairs on the legs.
Yeah,
there's loads of animals.
Spiders have got the same thing.
Yeah, there's loads of animals.
You can't see it, they feel it, don't they?
With hair, and the hairs are used to. And a lot of stuff.
There's a tarantula in the Amazon that spits its hair at you as a fucking defence.
As a defence. That's slightly different. But yeah, it does. But no, the hair on these animals, on these insects, is used to detect the outside world. And they're not sure whether it's air that they're detecting, or movement of air,
or movement of things,
or if it's predators. Like a slight movement in the electromagnetic field.
Well, if you think about it, our ears. You can make your hair static by rubbing a fucking balloon on it.
Yeah,
make it stand up.
It's chargeable, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's something to it.
Definitely.
That's what I'm getting at. And like I say, with these animals that are using that ability, they're using their hairs as antennas. Why don't we? Also,
but it's also when you get the hairy feeling that someone like stood over and your hair stand up.
Yeah, stand over your head like a sixth sense type thing.
Yeah, kind of thing. Yeah.
So, and I mean, that's obviously skin tightening and all the rest of it as well, but why is it doing that? It's standing your hair on end, isn't it, to make it more...
It's like spider sense.
Yeah, it's almost like standing your hair on end to make it more prominent to pick up these little
signals,
minute signals, I would say. So that's what I'm getting at here. I mean, this author goes on to talk about the forehead and the function of transmitting light to the pineal gland. So obviously it's saying some sort of like the hair's almost absorbing light. Now the pineal gland actually can sense light. It can do the night and day thing, and it's been linked to the consciousness and all the rest of it. Now, when you're a baby, this is not relevant to this, but when you're a baby, little children can pick up on ghosts.
Yeah, so to say.
Yeah, a lot easier than we can, and then it sort of grow out of it, don't they? Sort of 5, 6 to grow out of it. Now, at that time in their development as a child. If you think that the crown's not formed,
it's still soft.
There's still a hole. It's still.
What age is it when it actually fully heals? It's about a year.
No, I think it's quite a ways into our lives. Actually, I think it's like teens probably. But it closes up soon after birth, doesn't it? And then it's really fully hard in the teenage years. But for those first few years, it's quite opaque. It's quite transparent, and so light can get through it, and so the pineal gland can pick up on it. And I think that transmission of not so much in but out. I think that's why children can probably see ghosts. And I know there's no study on this because that's just something I've thought of. But if do you think they're picking up on the outside world because they can get out just that little bit more.
Yeah. Well, they do say babies are more susceptible to seeing things and picking things
up. So
if
that's slightly...
It's like when you see your kid looking at something and you go, laughing at it. It's they're picking up on something, aren't they? But you're looking, what the hell are you looking at? And my daughter does it.
At some point, they grow out of it. And that's probably when that bone...
So this is what they probably call so-called imaginary friends.
Yeah.
But this is, I mean, it's like my daughter's there, laid there in a bounce, and she'll just look off to the side and start laughing at something like, what laughing at the chair for? It's a chair.
I had a bad experience with an imaginary friend.
What an imaginary friend, dude?
This author goes on to say about
transgender,
split ends, what wet hair can do. And it's just a lot of it's to do with what the yogi said.
Do you know what's weird? Since we're talking about the power of hair, right? Do you know when you're like, go get a shower and all that, and you have a wash your hair and that, it goes all flat and everything, doesn't it? And then you dry it and it's still a bit flat, but a bit thingy like, and then you wake up in the morning, it's like,
yeah.
How the fuck does that happen? It's just out there, and you're like, hang on a minute, I ain't got no hair, I'm skinhead. You know what I mean? I've got hair, but still. I mean, it's weird. Whole hair.
Let's talk about, that could be do. Let's talk about the hair's ability to absorb vitamin D as well. So that might have something to do with that.
What vitamins is got in it? Probably not much.
Everybody knows the story of Samson and Delilah.
It's a good old story, that.
Yeah, where they have to cut his hair off, and it's 7 braids of hair, but they have to cut his hair off to make him weak, before they can capture him. And that, but I know I'm not saying...
It's a tragic love story, really.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Bible's a scientific, should be taken on its scientific merit, but what the Bible's actually saying there is it's getting across the actual ability of hair there. It's saying, look, the more, you've got hair, makes you more acute, because he don't see them coming, basically. I think that's
he's blindsided by a stunning woman.
Yeah, so then the court is saying he doesn't see the guys coming to catch him.
When you think about it, you could actually put Samson's eyes together. It's like, say you're a single guy and you're out in a pub, you've got long hair, and chances beard because she's fit as fucking. You think, I like it, you know what I mean? Fine, not she's having a conversation with you and all that. She's distracting you. And all of a sudden, her fucking meathead boyfriend comes from nowhere and knocks the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Because you're just chatting with her, not knowing you said, you've asked her a question, are you single? And she's gone, no. Women do that. You can portray that into the Samson and Delilah thing. So that's what she did. She blindsided him. He fell in love with her, and then she fucked him over.
That to lose his hair, to lose his strength.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He fucks her over, then she felt...
That's what I'm saying about the power of hair.
Then she felt guilty about it.
So you got this information here, look, that was kept secret from the Vietnam War. And this is by the author C. Young. And it's called The Truth About Hair and Why Indians Would Keep Their Hair Long. And what it goes on to say is that a woman came forward by the name of Sally. She didn't want the rest of the name to be told, she was married to a licensed psychologist who worked at the VA Medical Hospital. He worked with the combat veterans who were suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, and most of them had served in Vietnam. Sally said that she remembered clearly one evening her husband came back from her apartment at the doctor's circle carrying a thick, official-looking folder in his hands. Inside were hundreds of pages of a certain study commissioned by the government. He was in shock at the content. He read in those documents completely changed his life. From that moment, my conservative, middle-of-the-road husband grew his hair and beard and never cut them again. What is more, the VA Medical Center let him do it, and other very conservative men in the staff followed his example. So there you go. So you've got, she's saying, whatever this guy read caused him to go on and grow his hair. Anyway, so this is what he's meant to have read. As I read the documents, I learned why. It seems that during the Vietnam War, special forces in the War Department had sent undercover experts to comb America Indian reservations looking for talented scouts, more stealthy in rough terrain. So they went and got the expert trackers from the Indians.
Yeah, but didn't they use them in the second one?
They were especially looking for men. Right, it was especially looking for men with outstanding, almost supernatural tracking abilities. Before being approached, these carefully selected men were extensively documented as experts in tracking and survival.
I think it's more heritage than here.
With these usual... Right, so anyway, so it goes on to say that these men were enrolled as new recruits. Some Indian trackers were enlisted. Once enlisted, amazing things happened. Whatever talents and skills they had possessed at the reservation seemed to mysteriously disappear as the recruits failed to perform as they expected them in the field. Serious casualties and failures of performance led to the government contract expensive testing in these recruits, and this is what it found. When questioned about their failure to perform as expected, the older recruits replied consistently that when they received their required military haircuts, right, they could no longer sense the enemy. They could no longer access the sixth sense or their intuition. No longer was it reliable. They could not read subtle signs as well as access subtle extrasensory information. Right. So these are some of the typical tests that they did, and when they say enemy here, I think they're talking about someone playing the part of the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
So they get with two recruits sleeping out in the woods. An armed enemy approaches the sleeping men. The long-haired man is awakened out of his sleep by a strange sense of danger and gets away long before the enemy gets close, long before the sounds of the approaching enemy are audible. In the other version of this test, the long-haired man senses an approach. So it's essentially an approach, and he's aware that the enemy may perform a physical attack.
You sure what
he follows his sixth sense and stays still, pretending to be sleeping, but quickly grabs the attacker and kills him as the attacker reaches down to strangle him. The same man, after having passed these tests and other tests, has received a military haircut and consistently fails these tests. Many other tests had previously passed, so he's done all them tests, passed them all, cut his hair. You can't do none of them again.
Used him in the Second World War as code breakers, didn't they? Well, they used the American Indian language as code.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, World War II, yeah. But they are all, when the film Windtalkers, it showed you it was based on true event. When they base a film on true events, it tends to be not exactly true, but true enough. Obviously, the action parts, the thingy parts, but the parts where they was using the Indians, their code, what would say in tortoise, and that would say tortoise is a tank and stuff like that, and they'd be telling them that's thingy in there. And they even looked like the Japanese dudes who was killing, so they could go behind enemy lines. Even better.
Anyway, this document recommended that all Indian trackers be exempt from the military haircuts. In fact, it has required the trackers keep their hair long.
Makes sense.
Yep. It says the mammalian body has evolved over thousands of years. Survival skills of the human and animal at times are almost supernatural. Science is consistently coming up with more discoveries and the amazing abilities of man and animal to survive. Each part of the body is highly sensitive, where it can perform the survival and well-being of the body as a whole. The body has a reason for every part of itself. The hair is an extension of the nervous system and can completely be seen as an extension. Yeah, so that goes on to what we was talking about at the beginning. So,
yeah, but
that's what I'm saying.
That's not true. How does that evolve into sea life creatures like whale, killer whales? They ain't got no hair. They use sonar, and when they kill sharks, they've actually killed great white sharks. They are these days anyway. Don't know they are, but they're teaching it to the young ones as well.
Yeah, so, but I wonder if this is
heritage. Heritage is what they used to know.
Well, I wonder if this is a prey animal.
Then having the haircut just makes them not feel like themselves, if you know what I mean. Could be all a mindset.
Could be, but they wouldn't consistently fail the test, would they?
Well, they didn't do very well, did they? In the French and Indian War, they lost. With a long fucking hair.
Where thingies like that, where
I'm just saying, like,
we're prey animal, aren't we?
The French and American Indians, when they fought in the French and Indian Wars against England and then the Americas, thought the French and the Indians lost.
Genghis Khan did the same thing, you know, when he took over.
I think they're just fucking really, really clever, and it's down to heritage, man. It's down to training.
One of his orders was to shave all the women's hair, just keep them subdued. Just like we do, like I was saying, what the people do with the slaves. They cut their hair off.
Yeah, but now if you see someone with a shaved head, you just don't want to go near them. So it's nothing to do with slavery these days. Back in them days, I think it was a bit different. I think, like you say, the mentality has changed a bit now, isn't it? Like you say, you see a bald-headed guy now with tattoos and that, and you think, fuck messing with him, he's fucking brute, like you said.
Yeah, I think that's what they want to think.
Probably.
To make that right. Sort of like,
I'm going to say no, you're lying, because you're probably right. But like I say, I think most of this tracking ability, is down to heritage. It's been passed on to them by ancestors and fathers and grandfathers and stuff like that, and they've passed it down, and then someone's added a bit. Yeah, they might think in that, but you don't know, do you? You just don't know. I think it's down to like the elders teaching the youngsters how to think. Like I say, Indians are trained from young kids, aren't
they? Yeah.
Growing up, learning to track animals, learning certain things. Oh, that's a rabbit instinct.
So it could be the fact that they've been moved from their environment that they're comfortable in to a total jungle on the other side of the world that could have an effect on their ability to do what they're doing. But like I say, a lot of those studies show that they had the abilities when they got there, and then they cut their hair, and then they didn't have the abilities. So
perhaps they just felt uncomfortable in the situation. That was it.
Possible.
With the hair and that, it's like you find someone
think of it this way, right?
It's like say.
Think of it this way, right? When people say woman's intuition, they say fucking that's a woman's intuition. They never say it's a bloke's intuition.
You ain't got no intuition. That's why.
Exactly. But women have got long hair. So there's a study here on the energyfantastics.com where it actually talks about this, and it says that many spiritual gurus believe that having long hair stimulates the
Kundalini. I don't know. Nope, don't know. Why'd you have to pick awkward words?
Kundalini energy or something.
Right, so some sort of energy.
Kundalini energy in the body to make it more efficient, which in turn increases the vitality, intuition, and tranquility. This could be one of the main reasons that women are more intuitive than men.
So, do you said the vitality in that? Does that mean pregnancy-wise, getting pregnant, fertility,
or
sex drive?
Because it goes on to say like this, it says, one of the most effective ways to stimulate that energy your body has is the positive sexual intercourse. During sexual intercourse, both sexual partners are consistently exchanging sexual energy, causing that Kundalini energy to rise towards the brain. Once the Kundalini energy of one of the partners reaches climax state, he or will usually experience orgasm. The sexual energy is transferred during sex important for the balance of masculine and feminine energy. However, negative sexual intercourse such as rape, violent sex, or uncaring sex often cause sexual energy blockages leading to sexual problems. Because the hair acts like an antenna, it is believed that pubic hair allows sexual energy to transfer between sexual partners more efficiently. This can lead to better sexual experiences and stronger bonds between sexual partners. The negative effects to cutting off your hair. Centuries ago, many cultures discouraged people to cut their hair because they viewed long hair as a sign of health, beauty, strength, freedom, and spiritual maturity. Because of these views, both sexes of these cultures kept their hair long and often cut their hair of their enemies as a sign of slavery to weaken their intuitive senses. The control of the elites, says, are also aware of the health benefits of long hair, which they support the idea of keeping hair in the male population short.
Stop me right there. What about the Shaolin monks? They shave their hair and they're powerful as fuck. They break fucking bricks and fucking slabs and everything with their fucking heads. And they've got no hair.
They might be strong, but are they intuitive?
Yeah, well, yeah. They sit there fucking months and months and months on end, just fucking...
Well, you don't need hair to do that, do you?
Still, but you're saying it's a sign of strength here. But they ain't got no hair. But if I tell you what, you could put 10 martial arts experts.
No, I don't think
it's
not saying strength. It's saying, like saying, the hair is acting as an antenna, so it's picking up minute signals that are in the universe, that are in the ether, in electromagnetic energy, and all the rest of it. We're picking up on that. So the elites and everything want us to keep our hair short. It's like some jobs. You go for jobs and they'll specify that you have to have short hair. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Would you say, I'm not buying a car thing because you've got long hair?
I don't give a shit.
No.
I'm buying a car.
So what difference does it make if he's got long hair on it? No, don't. No. So why is that ingrained in culture? It's like, when we're children and you might have a kid there with long hair and everyone will pick on him, say he's a girl.
No, long hair. Like I say, people want long hair these days, they have long hair, but it's like I say, a lot of people these days with long hair, long beards and everything.
Yeah, I think it's changing now. I think you'll see a lot more people...
Well, yeah, I mean, haircut in 2 months, look at it.
I know.
I just like it short. I think it's just the way it is these days. That short hair was the fashion, isn't it? You know what I mean? But back in them days, like I say, there never used to be any salons or like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, but when you've got people actually catching enemies and shaving them...
That's a sign of submission, isn't it? Sign of submission.
So
you have your head shaved, cunt, so we know you don't look like any of us.
I think they had, to say the word intuitive, I think they was more in tune with what's going on back in the day. I think.
Well, I do like the study that the fact that the Indians was training, thinking they could sense it all, everything. There was a weight that was off. You know what I mean? And then when they had their haircut, they failed. I like that. I do like that. It makes you think. Yeah, there's something with it here, but then it makes you think. Is there in there? It's like you've got the pros. It helps, and then mine's like it's just heritage. It's what they've been trained to do.
The fact that gives it more weight for me is that the fact that we, as a culture, we expect blokes to have short hair. And I think that, and looking back through all the ages where that just wasn't the norm, you know, guys did have long hair.
Yeah, but they had wigs.
They had wigs as well, yeah, that was because of the lice that won it. But I think.
Yeah, so they had shaved heads underneath wigs on top.
I know this isn't really alien, but look at the Nordalians.
Yeah, the Vikings.
They have long hair.
Yeah, it's a symbol of who they are.
But why would they have long hair? Why not? If you're making if people are making up aliens, why would they portray the men and the women? Well, obviously the women, but why would they portray the men to have long hair?
Because they're all equal.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's not normal, is it? If you saw that, if you was making it up, you'd say, you just assume that the bloke had short hair because that defines him as a man.
You use like they say the paladins in it. Yeah, I'm correct in saying the paladins. They say the Viking looking like aliens, probably the most looking human aliens that were known to man.
And they've got long hair.
And they've got gods like Thor, Loki, and all that displayed in the Vikings. Like that's why the Vikings all had long hair and beards, and that's to portray the gods that they think they had long hair.
I think the Vikings had long hair because of this culture there. I think the only long hair that's a symbol like nowadays is the Rastafarian dreadlock-like look. And obviously Vikings and all the rest of it like dreadlocks and the Celts and all the rest of it. But the actual Rastafarian look comes about not because of this power thing and and intuition and all the rest of it. It comes about because it was the king of Ethiopia who was dethroned by some sort of coup, I think it was. And the guy's name was Rastafari, and so these warriors, these loyal warriors, said they would never cut their hair again until he was put back on the throne. So that's where you get that's where you get it. But so that's where you get that. But so that's the only exception to this, where that's just come about as a as a natural thing. But then, like I say, when we get into this, where we're expected to cut our hair, is expected of us. There's got to be something behind that. For me, I know when I look into conspiracies and all the rest of it, but there's something there for me.
It's just fashion.
Yeah, but that's what they want you to do.
No, it is. These days, it's all about what looks good and what done. Back in them days, like I said, you didn't have salons, you didn't have this, you didn't have that. So it was a norm.
They could still cut hair now.
Yeah, they could do, but they didn't want to. What did they see the point? It was classed as savages. It was just doing what they think. The natural keeps you warm on the night time, lots of it. But it's like today, look at your kid. He had long hair at one stage, got it all short, so did you. It's gone. Where's it gone? Just saying. Fashion.
No. So it's what's expected, and that to me, that
if you want long hair, you're going to grow. If you want long hair, you're going to grow your hair, no matter what. Doesn't matter who you are, what anyone says, what looks good. Doesn't matter. If you're going to grow your hair, you're going to grow your hair.
Well, I think you should. I think everyone should grow their hair and see if they become more intuitive to the surroundings.
Maybe, yeah. But I've got to get my hair cut for your wedding.
Yeah, but there you go. So you're saying that's what I mean. You're saying you've got to do it because of this reason, right?
I'm doing it so I don't look like a fucking tramp, as they called me.
Again, that's in trade. That's in.
Call me a tramp. It's your fault, man.
That's ingrained, though, isn't it?
It's your fault. You call me a tramp.
If you had long, scruffy hair, people would say you look like a fucking tramp.
You call me a tramp because I went to eat breakfast at Tasties.
No, it's fucking terrible, that place.
Yeah, but the food's good. Who gives a fuck about the menus?
Food might be good, but menus are sticky.
Not the point, though.
Anyway,
heartbroken.
Everybody, grow your hair.
Grow your hair. I'm attempting to. Bye-bye.
If you have a strange story for the show, please email us at dbtopodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on social media. Thanks for listening.